Okay, so hello everyone. Today I will be presenting on light boxes as a sensory play object. So this is an idea that Lucy had given me at the beginning of my fieldwork, and this is something that I worked on as my final project. So I did create a light box, and then I also created this presentation just to kind of inform everyone on how they work and what you can do with them. Okay, so what is a light box? So initially, I even didn't really know what a light box was, or what the basic principles of them are. So I just wanted to give you a little background on that. So a light box is considered to be any translucent flat surface with some type of light source underneath. So originally, these were used as a drafting tool. So you might see that in the top right-hand corner picture with the big table that's all lit up. Those were kind of used for like drawing or for like architecture drawings, things like that. But they eventually evolved into sensory play objects for kids. I did find some offices still use them as their original purpose, but a lot of the time now people are using them for children as for sensory play. So as far as sensory play goes, they allow kids to explore the play of light, shadow, color, and transparency. And you'll see most often for kids, they're used with a bunch of translucent manipulatives. So in that middle picture, you see a lot of shapes and stones. There's those flat translucent like triangles, squares, circles. Those are really common in classrooms and schools. You can also do dollar store cups, like those little cups in the bottom here that are plastic, that are translucent, and you can put like letters on them. You could put shapes, you could put numbers, and use those for a bunch of different things. And then some people took it on a step further and used translucent dishes and put colored oil and water in them. So a light box can be purchased for a lot of money, or it can be made DIY. So just to compare those two options, so a DIY light box for me ranged between $20 to $30 to create, and that's if you don't have any of the materials already. So if you didn't have a plastic bin, or if you didn't have a string of lights, it costs a little more. And then there's some options that you can add to make them better. So a lot of the ones online recommend spray painting the inside of the silver color, which I did end up doing just because I wanted it to be as good as possible. But you don't have to do that, so you can save that expense if you don't want to. They also recommended using like a white tissue paper or tracing paper underneath the lid to, again, like reflect that light up. I did go with that option, but you certainly don't have to, again. So it just depends the level that you want to invest in. And then the manipulatives, like the ones you see right there, those are from the dollar store. You can get a pack of 24 of those cups for $1. So very low cost. Compared to ones you can actually purchase, they range from 157.94. I found on Amazon for like just the screen without like the table itself, just like a lit up screen that you could put stuff on, all the way to $394.95 for something like you see with that kid, about $400 with the full table and the space for all the manipulatives. So they can be extremely expensive if you do decide to purchase them, or if a school decided to purchase it instead of creating one themselves. So just a little background into sensory play, which I know we all know about as therapists, but just a background on it. So Marilyn Montessori is the founder of what you may know as Montessori practice. There's entire schools dedicated to this practice, and it's grounded in the belief that kids learn best through their senses. Um, with this in mind, Montessori practice, Montessori schools like to give kids a lot of space and materials to actually experiment with their senses. So this then kind of transformed into the idea of sensory play, which is play that provides kids with the opportunity to use all of their senses at once, or just focused play that encourages the use of one particular sense. So I'm sure you can think of a million examples of this. But for our purposes, for the light box, we're primarily focusing on the visual field, visual senses. But I will go on to explain that we can add a little bit of tactile senses as well. So as far as light boxes and sensory play, just like why the light boxes promote sensory play and why they're important. So as humans, about 80% of all of our stimulation is visual. So for that reason, vision is considered to be one of the most important external senses that we have. But as you know, with many kids that we work with in the schools, there's a lot of sensory dysregulation associated with vision. So some of those common problems might include hypersensitivity to light or difficulty discerning details from backgrounds. A lot of that stuff we work on, like spot the difference, things like that, visual scanning, visual discrimination. There is also difficulties with dysfunction of the ocular muscles that may lead to impairment of binocular vision. So it's the idea that, both of our eyes are looking at different pictures and we have to put them together in our brain. Sometimes, obviously, kids have difficulties with putting those two pictures together. Um, and these problems can lead to challenges in everyday tasks like reading, writing, or walking, as we are well aware. So I wanted to find evidence that actually linked the light box to a study that showed some kind of impact on how kids perform. But there isn't a study yet that I found that actually looked at this. I did find a study of the impact that sensory play can have on food acceptance, and I thought it could be translatable into what we're kind of looking to work on with the light box. So the study was from the UK and it studied 62 preschool children. Basically, what they did is provide a sensory play activity with real fruits and vegetables. Then they did a sensory play activity with not food, just a typical sensory play activity. And then they did one with just fruits and vegetables, just looking at them, but not getting to play with them. And they were trying to see how each of these interventions would impact the number of fruits and vegetables that were tasted afterwards by the kids. So the result is that the kids in the sensory play group who actually got to feel and play and touch the fruits and vegetables. So an example of this would be in the picture there, there's a bunch of fruits in a bin. And I know it kind of seems like a waste of fruit, but not really because it impacts later on. But they can kind of like feel the fruit, squeeze them, see how they look, even like tasting them in that moment. But the kids who were able to do that actually ended up trying more fruits and vegetables than the kids in the other groups who didn't actually get to have that sensory play experience with the fruit. So these results indicate that exposure to sensory experiences in the form of play can improve receptiveness to new sensations. So we can think about how that might be relevant in the form of light and shadows and all of those aspects of the visual field, how exposure to that via the light box can improve receptiveness to other visual senses going forward. So my actual light box is not completely finalized, so I'm still waiting on the lights that I wanted to get. So I don't have pictures of the one I made, but I'm sure you all get to see it at some point. But these are just kind of stock photos from the internet, or not stock photos, but they're online examples of what other people have done that I thought kind of resembled the one I made. So in order to use it, the first step would be to plug it into the wall. It is run by electricity. It's not battery. You do have to plug it in. The one I created, the cord fits very well under the lid because of the type of box I have. So you can just like sneak the cord out under the lid and close it, and that's perfectly fine. Some people do like drill holes in the bottom of theirs for the cord to stick out, but I didn't find the need to do that. And the cord might be a little short, especially I know for the OT room at KCS, there's not a ton of outlets. So an extension cord might be needed, but if you do plug it in near one of the outlets, it should be relatively fine. And you can kind of choose how much of the cord you want to extend outside the box too. So that can be adjusted. But step one, plug the light box into the wall. Step two, so from here, it just kind of however you want to use the box. So you can use translucent materials like the ones on the right. I did make these and we'll be giving them to KCS to use. They're just really cheap dollar store, like plastic. I don't even know what those would be used for in normal times, but it's just like a little plastic containers. I flipped it over and made a bunch of different letters. I did like 2 to 3 sets of letters, like I think 2 to 3 sets of numbers, and then 2 sets of shapes, including triangle, diamond, circle, square. I think those are the main ones I did. So you can use this for like spelling, you can use it for math, you can use it just for shape recognition and let the kids kind of move it around and with the light underneath it, it's going to really shine through. And then other people online use different manipulatives. So you can see in the other picture, there's like those stones I mentioned at the beginning. They use some colorful beads. Anything that you have at the school that might be translucent, you can throw on top too and just explore how the light impacts the way these objects look with the kids. Um, so the lights, I did get special lights for this. Just I wanted to because I was reading how super bright LEDs would be better for this, and the ones that I was going to use originally had a lot of lights that like are broken, and I just thought it wouldn't work. So I ended up getting these. They have 8 modes, which is awesome. So you can do like combination, wave, slow go, twinkle, flash. Kind of reminds me of what Tiffany has it with her like projector lights. Like there's all those different options. So similar to this, the lights don't change color, but they do change like how they appear. So that might look really cool in the light box. And they're also super bright LEDs, so they're really going to shine through with the addition of the inside that I spray painted and the tracing paper underneath. It's going to be really bright, hopefully. And to switch between those modes, on the actual plug into the wall, there's that little button here. It's like greenish looking. That's how you change the modes. So you can just change it to whatever you want. And there's also a memory chip that saves the last mode used if you're interested. And the last thing that you could do is incorporate tactile play, which I mentioned. So more than one sense. I don't know if you're going to want to do this or not. Some people use things like foam, shaving cream, sand, as I mentioned, water and oil in a dish, or even the water beads we use in a dish. You don't want to just leave those out because they won't be contained. But like if you get like a clear dish to put them in, that would work. Um, my only concern is that I don't know how easy this would be to clean up and sanitize, given the light box, but I think it would work okay if you were willing to take the time to clean it up. Um, but that would again provide like really cool like visual and tactile senses combined, forming letters like right on the box in the shaving cream, like pretty cool. But this is optional. You can just stick to the manipulatives and make it a little simpler or wait until hopefully things get better with COVID so you don't have to like completely disinfect everything. But yeah, that's just one other option. And that is about all I have. I'm welcome to questions if you guys want to email me. I know Lucy has my email. I think most of you guys do at this point too. So feel free to email me. If you don't have it, it's Brooke with an E .ellis at wnu.edu. But again, I think Lucy can provide that if you do have questions about how we would use this. And these are just some of my references that I used to produce this. All right, well, thank you so much for listening today, and we'll see you next week, guys. Bye.